The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. The government has dumped a fresh batch of dolomite sand over a portion of Manila Bay coastline, despite the worsening COVID-19 situation in the country. Today, the Environment Department has decided to inspect the progress of this controversial rehabilitation project. Let's get more details on this from Shaila Francisco. She's reporting to us live from Manila. Shaila, could you tell us about the initial assessment of the DENR?
Charles, based on the DNR's inspection, they see that the progress is already fast, especially that the fresh supply of dolomite is already here. They are estimating that the beach nourishment project is already 50 to 60% complete, and they expect to meet the target date of completion by June or July. Charles?
Shaila, they're calling this a beach nourishment project, and this has drawn criticism since the crushed dolomite was first dumped last year. Would you tell us if this first batch is still intact, and why the need for a second batch?
Charles, so far, majority of the dolomite from the fresh batch is still intact. They decided to put in additional supply of dolomite to fulfill the 1 meter thick requirement to avoid the dolomite from being washed easily. Now, with a new supply of dolomite fulfilling the 1 meter requirement, as well as the rock formation, they are more confident that even with strong storm surges, this won't get washed off easily. Charles?
Right, Shaila, among other criticisms, one of these would be there is an ongoing medical crisis in the country, and yet this seems to be quite the priority still. What is the DENR saying about this?
Charles, for one, the DNR says that they've reallocated already funds for their 2020 projects to the COVID-19 response. As for this specific project, they said this was based, or this is already part of the 2019 budget, and that the whole project has been contracted and there are liabilities in the contract. They can just stop paying the contractor, especially if they've submitted the accomplishment reports and the billing, because this will mean that they won't have any income, they won't have any salary for their workers working here, and that they won't have any livelihood. So this is just one of the ways for the DNR to help the economy going and to provide livelihood, especially now that a job or unemployment is really high amid the pandemic. Charles?
Right, Shaila, how did the DENR address questions on the environmental impact of this project?
Charles, if you can recall, environmental groups have been clamoring for an environmental impact assessment, but the DNR says that there is no need for one, especially since the project was given a certificate of non-coverage, which means that there is no need for such assessment if the project is for nourishment or improvement of environmental protection. But despite that, the DNR assured that the project underwent environmental evaluation. Charles?
Right, Shaila, this project has drawn a lot of attention. Are there any other projects at Manila Bay that we should know about?
Charles, the DNR wants to clarify that the beach nourishment project isn't just about the dolomite. It forms just a minute or a small portion of the beach nourishment project. So aside from that, they are also busy fixing the pipes that will discharge the wastewater from the establishments into the bay. They are also fixing the solid waste management. This is the part of the whole beach nourishment project and rehabilitation in the area. Charles?
Thanks for that, Shaila. That was Shaila Francisco reporting live from Manila. The government has successfully disbursed almost 4 billion pesos of assistance to about 3.9 million Filipinos affected by the ECQ. That is according to the latest figures from the DSWD. However, the amount is only equivalent to more than 17% of the total projected beneficiaries. In an interview with Radyo 5, DSWD spokesperson Irene Dumlao explained that the list of beneficiaries had been validated before sending to the LGUs. But Dumlao said local executives still have the authority to make necessary changes, depending on the situation on the ground.
Yung listahan po ay reference ng mga local government units. Kasi ang lokal na pamahalaan po, yung mas nakakaalam ng sitwasyon at yung kondisyon po ng mga individual o ng mga pamilya na kanila pong nasasakupan. Yung listahan na ibinahagi ng DSWD ay basehan ng local government units sa pagtukoy kung sino po ba yung kabilang sa low income sector. At yun ang magiging batayan ng LGU individual na mabibigyan ng tulong.
We'll be back with more stories after a quick break. Keep it here on One News. Hi. Ayun. Hi, Greg.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon again. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. The government says vaccine self-sufficiency is the long-term plan in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. However, the health department admits that they still don't have a target population for inoculation. Greg Gregorio joins us live from Marikina to give us more details. Greg, good afternoon. Could you tell us which government agency is leading this push for vaccine self-sufficiency, and do we have any updates on this?
Yes, Charles, it's actually the Department of Science and Technology who leads the government's push for the vaccine self-sufficiency of the Philippines. And during the press conference early this morning, the OST Undersecretary Rowena Guevara said that there are already preparations for the government's target to have this vaccine self-sufficiency. It started April 2020 when they have prepared for the establishment of the Virology Science and Technology Institute here in the Philippines, as well as there are currently ongoing talks with local pharmaceutical companies who are interested in manufacturing vaccines here in the Philippines, as well as ongoing talks with bilateral partners who are also interested in doing this manufacture of vaccines here in the Philippines. Charles?
Yeah, thanks for breaking that down for us, Greg. Could you tell us about these guidelines that we have to contend with? Would there be any additional vaccination guidelines given the scenario?
Charles, in the recently released new guidelines from the Department of Health for the vaccination, they have added that those who are who recently recovered from COVID-19 may be immediately given with their dose of COVID-19 vaccine. It is contrary to the earlier guideline, which originally one must wait until 90 days from recovery before they can get COVID-19 vaccine. And then the next amendment was 14 days after recovery, but now the health department has amended the guidelines and saying as soon as one has recovered from COVID-19, he or she may be immediately given a dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Charles?
Thanks for that, Greg. Once again, that was Greg Gregorio reporting from Marikina. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 1 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We're One News.